Hey everybody, another serious topic. This is another aspect of why, what to consider if you're not ready to report rape, sexual assault, molestation, etc. And the one important aspect I never thought about, because after my rape occurred back in 1990, I thought I'll worry about it and I'll deal with it later. And later was over 20 years later. And my rape occurred in Lakewood, Washington, in the state of Washington. I was an active duty soldier. He was in my unit. It was my fiance's best friend that ended up assaulting me. And so I gave reasons in an earlier video regarding why I didn't report. I said I'll deal with it later. And I found out a year after I was raped, he went on to assault a second victim. I don't know how many other victims there are in this story. All I know of is documented our second victim and myself. And come to find out, there was something I never considered, but there's something in every state called the statute of limitations regarding reporting. And had I reported within even the first 10 years, that would have made a huge difference, because since I waited over 20 years to report, the statute of limitations in Washington state are 20 years, and after that, it's basically null and void. And Washington state is kind of, I don't know how many other states have this because I haven't done a lot of research outside of this, but Washington state has a different level of offenses. I think there's a level 1, 2, and 3. And the person who raped me went on to rape someone else who told he was convicted and sent to prison. And I don't know how many years he spent in prison. And so I think due to good behavior while serving his time, he was released, I think initially on, I don't know how it works, but initially he was given a certain level where in Washington state that person is protected. That means their public records are not available unless requested. Their mugshots are not available. They are given a second chance to live a normal life in society. So therefore, if you look up the person's record, and I don't remember if it's a 1 or a 3, but if they're least likely to reoffend, they're given the lowest rating, and their identity is more or less protected from discrimination regarding employers, the general public, etc. So they live amongst you, and come to find out, the person who committed the crime against me and a second victim, he was allowed to live like you and I. He purchased a home, had a job, went to his local Legion Hall, he served, he had a position within his local Legion because, of course, he's a veteran. And so he was, I'm not going to say he was esteemed, but he had a certain level of respect despite his crimes because he was protected. And it wasn't until I finally came forth after 20 years and I contacted someone that it was my ex-fiance. He got married. He had a wife. They had 3 kids. And I contacted his wife and my ex-fiance. And I said, hey, do you know where so-and-so is? And for the whole time, they said, no, we don't know where he's at. I said, can you pull the court records from the subsequent rape year after mine? They said, no, we don't know how to do that. And come to find out, they knew where he was at the entire time. And they were still friends with him on Facebook. So you'll see that the perpetrator is protected in certain states by laws, by people close to them that know their history, etc. And so it's important to come forward within the statutes so that you can get your assault on record and they can be held accountable. Another thing is if you do wait and you don't have DNA and your body is no longer showing signs of the assault, I was believed because of my memories, because I could tell you what the room looked like, it was dark. I could give factual evidence regarding the apartment the assault took place in, even 30 plus years later. So I'm telling you, it doesn't, even if you don't have all of the evidence, if you have those memories, and they still haunt you to this day, they can be used. Mine, fortunately, I was believed. Even though mine took place in 1990, I didn't come forward until about 5 years ago. And so time had passed, but yet I had my day in court with him, although it did end up being a little bit of a snafu and opposite of what you normally see in a rape case. So that's another certain aspect to consider. Remember the statutes. Please write down everything you remember. Write down what happened. Talk to a friend. And when you're ready, please go to the police. Please go to the hospital. Do anything you can to get your story told. And so that's what I wanted to talk about, a very important factor. And I'll be back.